Hey guys, and welcome back to the Four Train podcast. Today we have Israel Navarro right here. Israel, do you want to say a few words?
Hey guys, we're excited to bring you guys exciting content of the New York Yankees. And with all this speculations coming out of the lockout, I guarantee you we got some topics here that's really you guys can relate to.
So let's dive into it. Right now, we're going to be talking about Rodon to the Bronx. Israel, why don't you give us a little info on what you think about Carlos Rodon.
Well, I think Carlos Rodon is very important for the Yankee lineup, considering that we don't have Kerber no more. That was our number two, especially after Garrett Cole. Now, I will not knock. I think Montgomery is a great pitcher, but he's not ready to fill in that role to be the number two in our lineup. So Carlos Rodon, being a left-handed pitcher, just 29 years old, obviously will be a great fit for our lineup. This guy has a 2.37 ERA, which is great for his age. Considering that one of the coolest things, that his wife is waiting for the lockout to be over because she is 100% interested in coming to New York. She has hinted it on Twitter. Now, the only concerns, and I do see why people will have the concerns, is that in 2019, he did have Tommy John surgery, which we all know for pitchers, that's a very serious surgery, and he did miss most of the 2019 season. And considering that last season, he was complaining about shoulder fatigue. But considering that he did have 24 games that he started, it was a great way to see that this guy is perfect fit for the Yankee lineup. I think he's a perfect fit for our bullpen. And I 100% think once this MLB lockout, I do see the Yankees going after him and pursuing him. And plus, who doesn't want to wear the pinstripes in the Bronx?
Let's go, Israel. Yeah, my opinion on that is what scares me is the injury history that you just brought up, right? So he's been injured, and the only year he's had that was really good was this past season. So, like you said, he had a good ERA around two something, and he was in the Cy Young conversation. But, like you also said, he had that shoulder soreness towards the end, and not even the White Sox wanted to have him up. So, I don't know if he's going to be the best bet going forward. I did read in some articles that he is going to probably get a contract with incentives just in case that he does get injured. He also has Scott Boras as his agent, and if you know anything about Scott Boras, he's going to be asking for top dollar. He also already stated that he does not want a 1 year deal, a 1 year anything with this guy. So he's going to ask for multiple years, probably 3, 4 years. And we're talking probably around $20 million a year, if not more. So I don't know if that's going to be the best bet, but I mean, there's not much options out there for the Yankees right now. So, I mean, if you are going to go with someone besides Kershaw, I guess Carlos would be the one to go with.
Yeah, I think he would. And we're in the deed right now. The Yankees. There was a few pitchers that we could have gone off before the MLB lockout, and we didn't go after them. So right now, if he's the one of the top prospects, obviously there's more prospects in Anzo's channel. He did talk about 3 top prospects that you guys can see what are his 3 top picks. But obviously, Carlos Rodon is one of the most talked about ones of possibility coming to the Bronx this season.
Awesome. So let's head on over to the next topic. I know that the next topic is we're going to be talking about being a GM for the day. So if we were Brian Cashman, what exactly would we do? Right. So Israel, I don't know if you want me to start this one or you want to go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead, kick it off.
All right. So if I was Brian Cashman, I would do a few things. I would want to reamp the team. Like how I do in MLB The Show, I always sell off everyone on the team. I think the Bronx Bombers or the Baby Bombers, it's already nearing its end. I would do some, maybe this is a hot take. I would trade Judge. I wouldn't keep him. I wouldn't sign him. I don't care how good he is. I don't care. He's a captain, whatever. There's a lot of great guys out there. So someone's going to be the captain eventually, but I don't see that being Judge. We're not going to pay him. He's injury prone. So I would trade him out, ship him out to some other team, try to get a bunch of prospects. And I would also trade Glaber. I would also trade Voit, and I would just do a cleaning of the house and aim at getting some solid players that can end up taking over. And I feel like just by doing that too, I feel like we would have a good chance. We would have a good chance of actually making it to the playoffs and doing what we have to do, even if we take out Judge, even if we take out Glaber and all these players and actually get like an Olsen, get a Montas, like get some of these players that can actually make an impact and not have an up and down year or be injured so many times. So those would be the moves I would make. I would clean the house and kind of just start on over. What about you, Israel?
Well, right there, what I would do is actually go with my top three picks for trade. One is Gleyber Torres. Why? He has been struggling in the infield with the Yankees because he has not been put into position to where perform as a shortstop, not to perform as a third baseman and as a second baseman. You know, DJ will be a solid second baseman. And let's say if the Yankees go out there and sign Carlos Correa, I'm going to actually prefer to trade Torres and get some prospects out of him. He's 25 years old. He's still got a great career. So there's a lot of teams that would actually take a huge chance with him, and they would obviously trade a good amount of players. Now, my second one, and this one I think a lot of people, I've actually seen it on Twitter, and I do agree. Aaron Hicks. I know he's 32 years old. Everyone's saying, oh, he's playing phenomenal in the Dominican League. But the Dominican League is worse than minor league baseball. So he can go, and we can actually trade him to get someone solid in center field, as well as other prospects in that pitcher. And the other one I would trade is Luke Voit. Luke Voit last year was not very good on those injury scales. I think that he would be a great person that we can trade for. Obviously, we can negotiate these three men's on a trade for Matt Olson. I don't see the A's not saying no to that. These are three top players, and that would be a solid trade-off. The other thing I would do, and considering what comes out of the MLB lockout and these standards for luxury tax, I would go out there and definitely pick up Trevor Story. Why? Because we have a great prospect in our shortstop in Volpe, and I think Volpe will be great fit. So we can give a deal to Trevor Story being 31 years old. We can sign him to a deal, build him up, and then have Volpe come in once that deal comes to the end. The other thing is obviously put an extension to Aaron Judge. He was close fourth in the MVP race last year. He did win a Silver Slugger. This guy has still going on. Yes, he's 29 years old. So we don't have to give him a 10-year deal, but we can go out there to 8 to 7-year deal within the $200 to $240 price range. I think that would be the solid things. Those would be the moves I would make, as well as make sure I'll get the trade done to get Matt Olson with us as our first baseman coming into this season of 2022.
That would be an interesting deal. I feel like the A's, though, they're asking for everything right now for Olsen.
Yeah.
Would you give up? Who would you give up to get Olsen? Or, I mean, obviously they're not going to want Hicks. They're going to think he's too old.
Yeah.
I mean, who would you give up? You're going to have to give up some of those shortstops. Which shortstop would you give up, or any prospects?
Obviously, we're going to have to give up Gleyber Torres. I'm sorry to say that. He's obviously going to be able to make that negotiation happen, considering he's 25 years old. I don't see the A's hesitating for that. The other one, Gio Urshela. You know, we can put him in that mix. You know, Gio also had a little, obviously he's more comfortable being third base, but we can also put him into that deal. And we could even put Chapman. Why not? Why not put a reliever? I think the Yankees are in a position we need to move away from Chapman, especially last season. And for those few games that I went to Yankee Stadium, Chapman kind of almost blew the game for us, especially that I remember that game with the White Sox. He almost blew it for us, but thank God the Yankees batting came alive on the bottom of the ninth and saved us. So those are three guys I can see the A's really to take him in. Hicks, if we're going to trade for Hicks, we have to trade him to like a team in Miami. I feel like Miami would be willing to take him and give us a lot younger prospects. And Jeter, with his close ties with the Yankees, I don't think he's going to be saying no to us. So that's how I would trade Hicks in that aspect. But for Hicks, for Olsen, I don't think it would be good. Luke Voit for Olsen would be a good part of that deal. That is a key factor that we have to take into the consideration. But Gleyber Torres, even Gio Urshela, those are two guys that we can make moves 100% for sure.
Interesting. I also heard a topic too that the Miami, what is it called? What are they called? The Miami Marlins now. The Miami
Yep, the
Marlins are
Miami
actually
Marlins. No
wanting.
more Florida.
They actually want Olsen. So I mean, Jeter might just make a steal and kind of be like, oh no, we're gonna grab him because they have a crap load of prospects
Yep,
themselves.
and they got great talents. I will say this: Miami is a great pool that we can also trade into. They have a lot of young prospects. Obviously, they do have a few senior players because I know Jeter is very big on having some senior players to teach these young players coming up. Obviously, they got Don Mattingly, a former captain of the New York Yankees, as their manager. So we got to look at that prospect. Obviously, another team that is big on trade scale are the Rockies. They're not a big, they were willing to trade Trevor Story. I want that to be a key thing. The Yankees did make that pursuit for him last season, but obviously the negotiation fell through. Now Trevor Story is in the free agency, so that makes it a lot easier for the Yankees to pursue him. But they were willing to trade him. They are willing to open a trade. That's another team that's open there for the market. Also, Seattle's another great team. They're looking in. One team I know for a fact that would not be really interested to trade will be Tampa, because Tampa really hasn't done that much moves, but obviously they're securing their players, and you can't blame them. They had a phenomenal season last year, so you can't blame Tampa for making that decision. So those are the key things we've got to look at. As if you're in the GM position, look at teams who are in that position that want to trade and go and see what you can put. Obviously, we'll see what prospects they have. Obviously, we're Yankee fans, so we are a little bit more aware about what the Yankees have to offer compared to other teams. But those are the key things. Once we do, we got to get the result reports and get that understanding exactly what we want, what we got to get to deliver. And obviously, listen to what even Aaron Boone and obviously the new coaching staff that's coming in and saying, hey, this is what I saw being on the other side of the field against the Yankees, and this is what I think we can do to improve.
Yeah, I agree. And overall, I think they could make a deal. I feel like they could make something happen. But
Yeah.
we're going to have to see if Brian Cashman can pull it off, because me and you would pull it off in a video game, but I don't know about in real life. I'm sure it gets so complicated. But let's move on to the next topic. Do you want to introduce the next topic, Israel?
All right. Well, everyone is talking about the shortstop position for the New York Yankees. I think one of the most important things coming off of this offseason is our situation at first base. So I've obviously have my top three choices. I know Anthony has his top choices on who it is. So obviously, while everyone is discussing shortstops for the Yankees, we need a solid first baseman. So obviously, my first pick, and the Yankees shouldn't be hesitant, especially coming out of the MLB lockout, seeing what are the new rules of stipulation with trades or salary and all that stuff. If Matt Olson, the Yankees should go on. That is my number one pick for the Yankees to go after. I think that would be a great choice. He would look great in pinstripe. He's a good-looking kid. He is young. He's just recently got married. So what better present to telling him, hey, kid, come to New York and come play with us. My second option, now considering that the Toronto Blue Jays have made it seem they're interested, is to go after Friedman. Obviously, he's just come off of an outstanding season with the Atlanta Braves. We still know the Atlanta Braves are willing to negotiate to keep him, but if the Yankees are willing to open that pocketbook and make it, I think he would be a great pick for us to come off. Now, if we don't get Olsen and we don't get Freddie Freeman, this is my safest choice, and I think we should move on from Luke Voigt, find a way we trade him out, and then go and sign, obviously, Anthony Rizzo for a 5-year deal. One of the key things I think was very interesting, Anthony Rizzo is very interested in staying with the Yankees. He's not obviously going to ask for a lot of money, but considering that while he in his major league career, he is a cancer survivor. Considering last year he got COVID, and considering COVID is a virus, that does affect the immune system, I think until this whole thing gets situated, the Yankees have to be in consideration of his health when it comes to that, considering he is a former cancer survivor. But outside of that, that is a safe choice. I think he was, obviously, when he came in to play for us, he obviously did prove that he does deserve the position over Luke Voigt. Those are my top three options that the Yankees should go after for first baseman.
Awesome choices, Israel. I mean, I feel like you speak for the majority of the Yankee fan base. Obviously, everyone wants Olsen, then Rizzo, and then maybe Freeman or other options. If just to play the contrary, I'm gonna give you a few other options that I think could be solid. Of course, you want Olsen. Everyone wants Olsen, but let's say if we don't get him, I would say my top three would be, I mean, this could be a hot take. I just said that we would trade him, but going in the trend that the Yankees are going in, they'll probably keep Luke Voigt and keep him at first, and then trade him in the trade deadline later on to show his value even more. And then number two, I would say Freddie Freeman could be a solid option. He's obviously in the Atlanta Braves like universe of being basically a legend, their version of Derek Jeter out there. So it's going to be hard to see him moving past that team. But if he does and he wants to test the market, I mean, it's going to be the Dodgers versus the Yankees, and the Dodgers are spending more money. So most likely he'll go to the Dodgers. And then my last choice, I would say, could be a wild card. I mean, it would take some time to teach him and everything like that. I mean, he kind of knows it a little bit, but it could be Chris Bryant. No one's talking about Chris Bryant too much. He does play third base. He does play outfield primarily. He has some reps at first base and then a few at short. So who knows what you could do with that? You could either move him around or keep him in the outfield or have him at first base. So that could be a solid option as well if you're willing to pay that $200 million price tag that he's probably going to be asking for. And then a fourth one could be just DJ LeMahieu. The Yankees, the way that they're going, I feel like they might just make a cheap choice like that, where they'll either keep Voigt, just have him there, and then trade him later on, or just have DJ LeMahieu and then be done with that and not sign any first baseman. And it'll end up being that way. But if they do end up surprising us after this lockout, then yeah, I can see them trying to go for Olsen. I can see them trying to go for some of those big name free agents. But knowing the Yankees, I feel like they would actually just end up getting Voigt and just having him stay. So I don't know how you feel about that, Israel, but yeah, I really think
Yeah,
the
well,
Yankees are not going to make
I think Michael Kay was very good. Where if the Yankees decide to come back and bring the same product that they had, basically just with minor changes, obviously it's just going to be a playoff team and basically scraping the wild card. Considering that Boston, obviously, a good news for us Yankee fans, the Boston did not do any big moves before the MLB lockout. Obviously, we know Tampa is still one of the top contenders for the American League East Division title. So if the Yankees do not want to continue being a wild card team, they're going to have to make the moves. They're just going to have to. They even if it's going to, cause us to trade certain players, yeah, we lost Clint Frazier. Yeah, we lost Tyler Wade. Yeah, we lost Andrew Velasquez before the lockout, but they weren't legends. They weren't going to make us win the World Series. I'll be a Yankee fan and say the truth in that face that they weren't going to bring us a World Series. So let them go was great. But if the Yankees really are determined and they really want to bring a World Series back to the Bronx and make us a 28-time world champions, they're going to have to make tough choices. And obviously the first base, shortstop, and center field are those positions where they're going to have to make tough choices. We can't rely on Hick, and it is not a smart choice to bring Brett Gardner. I love Brett Gardner. I'm grateful for those 14 seasons, but we can't bring him. We need to put someone in that position of shortstop solid so we don't have to keep on switching Gio and Torres around. And we're going to need someone that's going to be solid at the first base position, because if Luke Voigt keeps on getting injury prone, is going to hurt us not having a solid first baseman. So the Yankees, especially coming out, have to go out there and make big changes if we want to see a World Series in this season of 2022.
Totally agree. Totally agree with that. I mean, hopefully they do make some choices that will not make them just a playoff team and actually move forward and actually be a contender for the World Series every year.
Yeah.
But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. So we're gonna move on to the next topic that we got right here, and our last topic has to do with Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran, if you guys know him, he used to play for the Houston Astros, the Royals, the Yankees. I mean, over, I think it's a 20-year career and possibly a Hall of Famer. But in 2017, in his last season as a baseball player, he played for the Astros and he devised a whole cheating scheme along with Alex Cora. And then basically the rest is history. The Astros won, and Carlos Beltran ended up just being an advisor for Brian Cashman the next year, which, from what the Athletic states, he had minimal impact for the Yankees that year. And then he went and got a position with the Mets, and the Mets hired him, and he ended up getting fired. Now, after a couple of years, because he stepped down and said, "Hey, no, I actually don't want to work here," because the Mets, I guess, they didn't have the balls to actually fire him. And, and then basically he just was like, "All right, I'll step out. This is awkward." And he stepped down, same way like Alex Cora and everyone else did that was a part of it. And Carlos Beltran just basically said, "All right, now I'm available. I think the smoke kind of settled down and I want another position with the team." Same way like Alex Cora moved on. Hinge, right? Hinge moved on.
Hinge. Yeah.
Yeah. And so all these guys that were a part of it moved on. And so the Yankees, do you think the Yankees deserve, or do you think Carlos Beltran deserves to get a position with the Yankees? Well, why don't you start us off, Israel?
Well, here's my take. Carlos Beltran has been very influential in Puerto Rican baseball. Believe it or not, if it wasn't for Carlos Beltran, we would never have Carlos Correa in Major League Baseball. Carlos Beltran, one of the key things he has done in Puerto Rico, he has basically created high school programs for kids who want to be professional baseball players to go out there. And that's the reason why Carlos Beltran has been very influential in the career of Carlos Correa. I think that's a very key thing. But besides that, he does need a second chance. He needs to redeem himself. Like A-Rod, when he came back after the suspension, he redeemed himself. He proved himself. And all the speculation of how A-Rod wasn't a good player, you saw it when he was in the pinstripes. He proved that he was one of the top-notch players. But Carlos Beltran needs to do it. Obviously, yes, he was known as majority of his career. He was the Mets skipper. He was there when Carlos Delgado was there, Pedro Martinez. We're talking about Santana. Well, I know a reason I know this is because my dad's a Mets fan, and he always talked about how much he liked Carlos Correa playing for the Mets. But CC Sabathia has come out and saying that, yeah, he should get another shot again at being the Mets manager. But I don't think with Stephen Cohen as the owner of the Mets, he won't do it. So if the Yankees do bring him in, obviously he can be an advisor for Cashman. We can bring him in as a coaching staff in a minor league. And I think the best fit for him, and especially with the Yankees, is to put him in a minor league, bring him to Tampa, New Jersey, Trenton, wherever you want to put him. Have him prove himself there as a manager. I know I'm not disrespecting the guy, but considering he's been pointed out as the kingpin, the mastermind of the whole scandal, even though his wife used him, says that the players used him as an scapegoat so they don't suffer punishment. But he's going to have to prove himself. So starting off as a manager in the position in the Yankee organization as one of their minor teams and have them break it to the playoffs or even win a championship in minor league ball is going to obviously make people go like, hey, this guy has a baseball mind. Hey, he's not just a cheating guy and this and that. And then from there, you could be like, okay, let's bring him in the Yankee organization as one of our coach, as a first base or a third base coach, whatever you feel comfortable with, or as a bench coach. I think he's a great fit there as well to obviously talk to players and coach him there where he can see, because he does have a great mind for baseball. There's no question about that. He was a phenomenal player with the Royals, with the Mets. Those especially were the teams where he did stand out the most. Obviously, when he came to the Yankees, that was near the end of his career. But he does have to prove himself. And I think, don't put him out there to like, hey, let's replace him with Aaron Boone right away. Because Aaron Boone obviously has given us 4 seasons where he did make it all to the playoffs. Yes, Aaron Boone has given us 4 winning seasons, even though last season was horrible for him, I think personally. And he should be looking to redeem himself because he's not. If he continues, I don't see him making it past this season. As the GM, the fans will go after him, and that's how we are in the Bronx. But Carlos Beltran should do that, and if he wants to be an advisor to Cashman, I think he has to really make himself stand out and be the loudest voice in the room and say, like, "Hey, Cashman, we got to make this trade. All right, well, you did nothing in the offseason. Torres is struggling to be your shortstop. Gio, okay, we can't keep on switching him. He's more comfortable. He's going to have to do stuff like that to make himself stand out and make the Yankees be like, okay, this guy does have a baseball mind. He's advancing himself out. He's showing his passion for the sport that he's loved since Puerto Rico. And he go out there. If Alex Cora can get redemption, if AJ Finch can go Finch, whatever you want to pronounce it, is going to Detroit.
That's what it was.
To redeem himself. I think Carlos Correa should come to the Yankees and redeem himself through the Yankees. And considering that there's great players that he can mentor and stuff, and considering that the Yankees do have a lot of Hispanic players in our team, I think he would just fit perfectly, even as a bench coach, to help us go on and be an influential in the Yankee lineup.
Damn. Yeah. I definitely agree with the fact that he does deserve a chance. I mean, I feel like the Yankees are kind of making like a ploy to like build a Carlos Correa universe of his past onto the Yankees, so Carlos Correa could feel comfortable and be like, hey, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree, Anthony, with that. They making that move with Carlos Correa. Obviously, they put a hitting coach that wanted to work with him, all these other people that have been interested to work with him. So why not? Why not do that? And why not go out there for that? I do agree with that, Anthony, 100% for sure. I think, even if he's on the bench capacity and we bring in Carlos Correa, that's going to make Carlos Correa feel comfortable because this is a guy he played with in 2017. It's going to make him feel comfortable with any other choice and moves. So that's the cool thing there, and that's something we can go from there,
Yeah. And to go off that point, which I didn't hear anything, but yeah, I feel like Carlos Beltran could be a solid player for the Yankees in the sense of being a coach, a bench coach, on Spanish to the guys and be like, yo, all right, let's do this. Like, let's like make this happen. Like, no, you got to hustle more. No, you got to do this. Like, at least be a voice of reason. And I mean, just find a way to win. Obviously they're not going to cheat, but just find a way to win. At the end of the day, you can't say Carlos Beltran wasn't hungry to just get a freaking championship. And that's what the Yankees need. They need that energy. And I mean, obviously someone will shut him down if he goes a little too crazy with his ideas. But that's the type of guy you want, someone that's thinking outside the box and trying to say, okay, look, what can we do to win and bring a championship here? So, yeah, my answer is yeah. Let's bring him. Let's bring him on. And I feel like the Yankees are really going to prep him up to be the next manager. I'm sure no team wants to give him a chance, but eventually they're going to prep him up. And then Aaron Boone, after 3-4 years, whatever, they give him a try. The Yankees still in the same position. Bye-bye. Carlos Beltran, you come in. And now we got a real manager that can that can compete with Alex Cora right there with the Boston Red Sox, So that's what I think. And yeah, definitely hire him right now.
Perfect.
So
for sure, let's do it.
That wraps it up right there, Israel. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to hit that like button. Not only that, but to subscribe to the channel as we're coming out with weekly live streams. So make sure to keep that in mind. We live stream every Monday night. And yeah, Israel, why don't you plug in some of your socials?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter right there. You can see my Twitter handler right there on the screen. That's Israel NVRRO. You can follow me on Twitter. I interact with all Yankee fans, all tweets out there. It's on a regular basis, so you guys can even interact with me and even say, hey, I have a question. What do you think? And I can give you my response, and we can go from there. And we can also talk about it here on the show.
Exactly. Make sure to go do that, guys. And as well, if you want daily Yankees content, make sure to check out my channel. It's called Anzo Anzo. And yeah, we're gonna definitely come back next week and keep the topics coming. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
All right. Peace out, guys. See ya.